This week on The Facts, Filipino sea workers docked in Halifax try to get a hold of their loved ones.
A big send-off for Boston's Christmas tree.
And we take a tour of the Big Hole downtown.
Hello, thanks for tuning in to The Facts. I'm Matthew Gray.
And I'm Tracy Pelham. Welcome back to our newsroom at the University of King's College.
We start off with the story of some Filipino sea workers who are separated from their loved ones and worried after Typhoon Haiyan. When they arrived in Halifax last week, their first priority was to contact their families on the other side of the world. Mo Hashim reports.
The Halifax Mission to Seafarers serves as a temporary home to sea workers from all over the world. Ryan Fengtana is a Filipino mechanical engineer. He's been out to sea since the summer. Most of his province was destroyed by Typhoon Haiyan.
Some of my relatives now is living in my house, because they have no house. They are going to our house and crying and begging for the help.
It's early morning in the Philippines, but now is the only time for Fengtana to call his wife before his ship leaves Halifax.
I asked my wife if you want me to go home, I will go home.
What did she say?
And she said, maybe you can stay because we need money.
Fengtana's colleagues are also from the Philippines.
He was fly away.
Bongo Suarez didn't want to talk on camera, but he says that his city won't have electricity for the next 2 months. He still hasn't talked to his wife and children, but he knows that they're alive. And it's not just the seafarers. Members of the Halifax Filipino community are also affected by Typhoon Haiyan. Cecilio Villacastin is a retired medical doctor in Halifax. He immigrated to Canada in 1967, and even though he is far away, he is still strongly tied to the country he grew up in.
It's really bad. It's really bad. I have never felt so bad about the situation. Because before when say, oh, typhoon is gone already, no damage, no nothing, anything like that. But this one is terrible. It's just terrible.
Villacastin has been receiving daily updates from people who oversee his properties. They're also sending him pictures.
Not only the wooden buildings, but even concrete buildings are blown down.
Back at the mission, Ryan Fengtana is having trouble sleeping before his next trip.
But still, my mind is still there. I need to drink so that I can sleep.
Fengtana and his colleagues say that they'll be going back to sea. They remain hopeful that their computer screens will bring them good news from back home. For The Facts, I'm Mo Hashim.
We have more on this story on our website. The address is posted at the end of the show.
Some young entrepreneurs from Halifax are taking their business to the next level. Last week, they made a deal with some of Canada's toughest investors on CBC's Dragon's Den. Hope Blooms may now be richer, but they're also an inspiration to their community. Matt Weber reports.
This is one I'm going to make sure they watch.
The kids from Hope Blooms are now Hallie famous. They went into Dragon's Den looking for a $10,000 loan. They left with $40,000 with no strings attached.
I was nervous and I was excited at the same time. It was like a mixed emotion.
Hope Bloom's product is their gourmet salad dressing. Its ingredients come from a community garden they maintain near Uniacke Square in Halifax. The profits will provide scholarships for the kids.
We're planning on making an all-year greenhouse and maybe other stuff too with that.
Kalade's mom is very proud of her son and the group.
I'm very happy because the kids have really worked hard and they really deserve it. And I know that the sky is the starting point for them.
Many in the community came together to watch the show and celebrate the kids' inspirational story.
You know, I've worked in this community for 27 years, and You hear all the time the bad things about the North End, and what I see is all the good things and the wonderful things, and this is just going to give a little exposure to that.
I'm supposed to be like the teacher. I'm supposed to, set the programs and guide them through the learning processes, but I tell you, I learned so much from them.
The group was relieved to tell the community of their Dragon's Den success. They've been holding in the secret since April. They hope construction of their new greenhouse will begin in the spring. For The Facts, I'm Matt Weber.
So, one business gets its start, and another releases its newest product. Last Friday saw the long-awaited release of the new PlayStation 4. So it was a busy weekend for gamers. Olivia Rempel has the story.
A few hours in the cold outside of Best Buy was a small price to pay for first dibs on the PS4. Some gamers have been waiting years for Sony to release their latest addition to the 8th generation of gaming consoles.
Want to be online as soon as possible. There's a big rush for video games, especially the new consoles. It's 10 years since the last one was released, so there's a big rush to be the first people online playing, getting achievements, things like that. So that's pretty much the reason I wanted to as well, be one of the first online.
For those who didn't pre-order, Best Buy had reserved 25 consoles for the first customers in line.
I heard that you wouldn't get one until after Christmas if you didn't get one now. Whether that's true or not, I don't know.
But some people were able to skip the lines by pre-ordering. Corey Ryan is one of those. He spent most of his time since Friday testing out his new console.
Couple issues on the first day. Wasn't too happy about that, but overall, pretty good. Can't complain just yet. I'll let them work out all the bugs, and then I'll decide from there. I mean, there's something out there for everyone, whether you want to play online or whether you just want to do something casually. It's up to you to decide, really. You can play all weekend like I did, or you can just pick it up, play for an hour.
Sony says it sold over 1 million consoles in the first 24 hours of the North American release. Next week, we'll see how they compare to the Xbox One, released November 22nd. For The Facts, I'm Olivia Rempel.
Haligonians have been sending a tree to Boston for more than 40 years. The Christmas tradition has new significance this year. Matthew Weber explains.
Halifax had its first send-off ceremony for its annual tradition. The tree is a gift to Bostonians for the help and medical supplies they provided after the Halifax explosion back in 1917. This year's ceremony had a special tribute.
We are dedicating this year's tree to the victims and survivors of the Boston Marathon.
A group of Halifax runners were present to help escort the 15-meter white spruce out of Halifax. Days following the bombings, they ran to grieve and show solidarity.
It's something special. We're a family, and we share a common bond.
This show of support is something the U.S. consul won't forget.
To see over 1,000 people coming in with Boston hats, it was just a really touching moment for me, and I really felt like it was my second home.
Jody Maddie was near the finish line in Boston when the bombs went off.
I saw some incredible compassion and humanity on a level that we don't normally get to see after the marathon. And I want the people to know that, how great it really was.
The tree will now be en route to Boston, where it will be set up on December 5th for their tree lighting ceremony. I'm Matthew Weber for The Facts.
Still to come on The Facts, we take you to the construction site of the Nova Centre.
And a look behind the scenes of the newest production at the Theatre Arts Guild.
That big hole on Argyle Street has become a bit of a tourist attraction. Everyone stops to see what's going on down there. Carly Connolly got the whole story.
That hole that everyone is looking at will be the home of the new Nova Centre. Brad Gregis, who is the Senior Superintendent of On-Site Construction Activities in the hole, gives us a tour on yet another busy day on site.
The convention center is right in this southwest sector that we're standing in now. And then the convention center will rise up to, the roof level will be like 2 levels above Market Street. I'm a baseball fanatic, But if Joe Girardi, who's the manager of the New York Yankees, came to me and says, Brad, I'd like you to start for me at second base tomorrow, I'd say, Joe, I'm sorry, I'm sure it would be fun, but it's not near as exciting as what I'm doing now. On the small pieces of rock, to keep them from falling down in amongst where the workers are, there's this wire mesh that's in place to help catch that, and they trickle down between the surface and the wire mesh.
It takes a big crew to complete this task, and they all work together until the job is done.
These guys are the greatest bunch of guys in the world to work with. They're skilled, they're enthusiastic, and they're passionate about what they do.
What's your favorite part about working for this job?
This job, just having your name associated with it when it's a landscape and be stood for many years to come.
Well, public place doesn't really bother me or Dexter, but it's a very interesting job. I kind of like the challenge of it.
Gregis says he's hoping the concrete walls will be up to Argyle by Christmas time. The new Nova Center is to open January of 2016. For The Facts, this is Carly Connolly.
As the temperature drops, more people are looking for help from shelters across the city. As Jennifer Cameron reports, a special winter shelter is getting ready to open its doors.
Do you want me to give it a shot? I'm a little higher than you. There's a chance.
The Out of the Cold Emergency Shelter is made up of small rooms in the basement of St. Matthew's Church. There's so much to do before opening day.
Yeah, no, it is upside down.
One of the main projects the volunteers are working on is a new kitchen renovation.
It is a big deal to get a new kitchen, right? Like, feeding people is a big part of what we do here. Before, there was almost too much stuff in there. It's a really small space, and it's nice to have 2 people to do a food serving.
But it's been much better organized. We had somebody donate a lot of hours to kind of build us this nice new kitchen. We're going to be able to plug in 2 microwaves at once. That's a huge deal for us.
The shelter will provide basic necessities for people with nowhere else to go during the winter months. Most shelters in town won't take or can't take pets or people with addiction problems. Besides meals from this tiny kitchen, there are 15 beds and some warm clothes, all in demand.
All of this stuff is stuff that we go through really quickly, right? Like, donations come in, but then there's such a turnover of people in a night with 15 beds, and then potentially other drop-in, constantly looking for donations. Pants, sweaters, jackets, like hand and foot warmers are things that we use a lot, especially for people, right? Because like the extremities get cold really quickly and it's really uncomfortable.
We always do our best to give services at the door to, not turn somebody away completely empty-handed. If we can give them something, we will. So those kind of staple items, we're always going through so much of that.
But there's a lot for the volunteers too.
Everybody is vulnerable at certain times in their lives, but the people that we're supporting that are staying here are vulnerable almost all the time in a really big way. And being able to be a part of providing, like even just a Band-Aid solution, even just like a place to stay or a meal is a really big deal for me.
Wood and Uhlenbach say they expect the shelter will be at capacity for most of the winter months. The shelter will open up here at St. Matthew's Church with its new kitchen renovation this Sunday. It will stay open until the weather warms up in May. For The Facts, I'm Jennifer Cameron.
It's a little bit of land with a lot of controversy. An argument between 2 groups over a popular park in the North End. Megan Morelli has more.
There's an old saying that good fences make good neighbors, but not in Africville Park. A lot of people bring their dogs here to run free, but this is also a historic site. The Africville Genealogy Society says dogs don't belong here.
We want to develop this site. It's a National Historic Site, and it's probably one of the very few National Historic Sites in Canada that's an off-leash dog park. And we just feel it's disrespecting our heritage and our past.
Joan Sinden has been coming to Africville Park for more than 10 years.
Okay, get ready.
She doesn't like the thought of giving it up.
Seaview is the only legal off-leash park of this type in the HRM, so anybody who has a dog that needs this kind of exercise has to come here.
Dog owners say Africville's fencing is helpful for energetic young dogs.
Back.
Our dog and a lot of the dogs that come here, that's why they come here, is because they can run and play, and it's just, this is a great park, and I mean, I'm new to the city, and I met a lot of people here, and it's a good place.
City Councillor Jennifer Watts says it's not the HRM's job to give dog owners fenced-in parks.
If people are looking for a place that is fenced in, that has never been the policy of HRM to provide that. I don't think Seaview Park was, which was the original park, was chosen because it had a fence.
And how did the fences get up here in the park? These fences were constructed by HRM. Right, and when they made the decision to make this off-leash, that back fence went up. That wasn't there. That wasn't a part of the fencing. As a matter of fact, the only fencing in this park at one time was the fence along the waterfront, because there's a dramatic drop-off, and it was to protect children. And then all of this fencing went up, and it was designated an off-leash dog area.
Public meetings will be going on throughout winter to decide what will happen with the park. Expect a decision by spring. For the facts, I'm Megan Morelli.
In Bedford, some musicians are getting ready to commemorate an important day in history. 50 years ago this week, John F. Kennedy was assassinated, and a community band is marking the date in its own way. Bria McDonald reports.
The Bedford Brass Quintet is playing music that represents the life and death of JFK. Paul St. Amand chose the theme for the concert. He's a history buff and a Kennedy fan.
His White House was the first in a long time to value the arts, and I think Jackie Kennedy had a lot to do with that. But it's not a coincidence that now there's the Kennedy Center for the Arts and the Kennedy Honors and Kennedy Awards for artists.
There was such a difference between the people before and the people after him, but he was on the cusp of that change.
The group is playing more than traditional American music. Their program includes Irish tunes to show Kennedy's heritage and popular music of the 60s.
As it happens, 2 months after Kennedy was killed, the Beatles arrived in New York, and they arrived at the newly renamed John F. Kennedy International Airport. So we thought a nice way to finish the show on a kind of an upbeat note, an idea that there were better times ahead, would be to play a great Beatles tune.
The quintet has been performing together for 2 years. This upcoming performance is on November 22nd, the date of Kennedy's assassination. It is at St. Ignatius Church in Bedford. For the facts, I'm Bria McDonald.
From the Beatles to love stories, giants, fairy godmothers, and even talking cats, the Theatre Arts Guild production of Puss in Boots is a little different from your average play. Tracy takes us behind the scenes.
She's called a dame. The character is a staple in British pantomime and one of the most sought-after parts.
It's kind of an honor to play the dame. So I wasn't actually expecting to get this part. I wasn't actually going for any particular part. I just auditioned, and I just want to be a part of the panto. It's so much fun.
Pantomimes, or pantos, are outrageous, bright, and bring the audience in on the action. The director thinks that's why it's so popular with families.
One of the favorite things is, usually a bad guy will get into an argument with a good guy, and they'll say things like, "I can do this." "Oh no, you can't." "Oh yes, we can." And then the audience will, depending on what the good guy has said, they'll always join in the good guy's side.
Located near Purcell's Cove Road, the Theatre Arts Guild adds references to parts of the community whenever possible.
It's a little wacky. This set, for example, is the first act is based on the dingle, actually, which, it's like, what does that have to do with Puss in Boots? It doesn't matter. It doesn't make sense, which is another really fun thing about panto.
The cast and crew are getting excited and nervous for opening night. Tickets are almost sold out. Puss in Boots opens November 28th. For the facts, I'm Tracy Pelham. There's still more to come on the facts. We interview a young girl determined to make a difference.
And Twitter gives people a different way to enjoy a meal.
If you've heard of Purple Day, maybe you've heard of Cassidy Megan. She started a global awareness campaign for epilepsy. Now her work is being recognized by the Red Cross. Jennifer Grudich has the story.
Cassidy Megan may seem like a typical 14-year-old girl,
She enjoys cheerleading, hanging with her friends, and playing with her dog, Dexter. And as Cassidy would put it, just as some people have brown eyes, she happens to have epilepsy. But this teen is anything but typical. By age 14, she has already met the Queen, received a Diamond Jubilee Medal, been invited to Parliament, and just last week, she was awarded the Nova Scotia Red Cross Young Humanitarian Award.
Apparently, I'm one of the youngest people to get it, and yeah, I just feel really honored that I was chosen.
At only 14 years of age, Cassidy has become a beacon of hope for millions of people affected by epilepsy around the world.
Purple Day originally began at Cassidy's school when she and her classmates decided to wear purple for the day.
With my mom's help and the help of my principal, Mr. Haverstock, lots of my school friends, and the Epilepsy Association of Nova Scotia, we picked March 26th as the Epilepsy Awareness Day.
Cassidy says the whole reason she started Purple Day was to help others.
Well, the reason I started Purple Day is because I wanted to see if there was others out there that had epilepsy, like me, and I found out that there was lots of people. And I started because I didn't want them to feel the same way that I did.
With the help of the Epilepsy Association of Nova Scotia and her many supporters, Cassidy has helped people from all over the world.
We have people from Africa, Yemen, all these places who would never speak out who do now.
Cassidy hopes that next year's Purple Day is bigger than ever. She's sending out a challenge to universities and businesses throughout Halifax to recognize March 26th as an International Day of Epilepsy Awareness, and of course, to wear purple. For the facts, I'm Jennifer Grudich.
Twooshi. Am I saying that right? Olivia Rempel explains what happens when Twitter meets sushi.
They're blaming me for something.
Yeah.
We go to a different restaurant every month, and yeah, it's a great way to chat with some pretty cool people.
It was kind of a Twitter community event, really. People were communicating on Twitter one day about meeting together for sushi, and that's kind of when the whole twooshifying of things was starting, when people were adding TW in front of any event they did. So as a joke, we called it twooshi. It's where people kind of are mistaken about social media. I think they think it's all these nerds sitting in their mother's parents' basement, just tweeting out to each other and blogging and things like this. But here, it's people come together, they share stories, share interests. It's kind of a bit of a paradigm shift, really, where people come together, but we still sit there and tweet and talk and send off emails and take photographs of our food.
I met every one of them through Twooshi. Now I've established some good friendships, and we keep in touch through Twitter. That's what Twooshi is Twitter and friends and sushi. You don't have to like sushi either to join the group. There's lots of other types of cuisine in Japanese cuisine.
There are lots of stories coming out of the King's Journalism School.
Listen to The Radio Room. It's on CKDU 88.1, Monday through Thursday at 5 p.m.
The latest edition of The Commoner is in all the finest coffee shops and newsstands around Halifax.
And don't forget to check out unews.ca for up-to-date local, national, and international news. That's our show. You can find more stories online at thefacts.wordpress.com.
Before we go, here are some sights and sounds from the Parade of Lights. From the University of King's College, I'm Matthew Gray.
And I'm Tracy Pelham. Thanks for watching.
I wanna wish you a Merry Christmas.